opportunity never comes, it's here.
We just gotta put in the hours and do the work.
We gotta get up off our rusty dusty and do it.
And see how easy it goes in.
But then that downside, then the devil comes, right? And every thought, every evil thought, everything that bothered you, every childhood memory, everything anyone said to you comes up.
Have you ever wondered what really went on behind the scenes of your favorite classic TV shows? Fans were left shocked when Ernest Lee Thomas began exposing the darkest secrets hidden from the public for years.
But there are plenty of those fly-by-night religious cults, so you can't believe everything you hear.
From Fred Berry developing an addiction problem that made him abusive and attempting suicide a number of times.
To his demise. Was he mean? Yes. Was he slight bit abusive? Yes. Did he have a temper? Yes. These are the things that you do not know behind closed doors.
To paying black actors so little that many, including Fred, Ernest Lee, and Mabel King, had to walk off after a while.
And now you're canceled.
Yeah.
And you went into a depression over that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, major depression.
Let's dive into the shocking details. Now, despite the show's popularity, the black actors in the cast were paid much less than their white counterparts. This was a big problem for black actors in the 1970s, not just on this show, but on many others too. It was very common for black actors to be treated unfairly, especially when it came to pay. The cast members who were black, like Ernest Thomas, Raj, and Fred Berry, Rerun, often expressed how upset they were about being treated this way. They knew that they were just as talented and important to the show as anyone else, but they weren't getting paid the same. One of the biggest issues that the cast faced was the dispute over money. Fred Berry was at the center of this problem.
Yeah, it's a long walk over here.
The producers of the show didn't want to pay him what he thought was fair, even though the show was making good money and doing well. Fred felt that he deserved more money for the work he was doing, and he wasn't the only one who thought this way. His co-stars, Ernest and Haywood, also felt the same. This situation led to many arguments over contracts, with the actors asking for higher pay. Unfortunately, the producers didn't listen to them, and this caused a lot of tension behind the scenes. The fight for fair pay got worse over time. Fred Berry, frustrated with being paid only $5,000 per episode, decided to leave the show for a while. His wife, Essie, later explained that Fred just wanted to be paid fairly. She said that he was upset because a white actor on the show was making $8,000 per episode, while Fred was only getting $5,000. This unfair pay gap really upset Fred and made him question his value as an actor. Fred started being called the troublemaker on the set. But not everyone thought he was bad. Director Alan Rafkin said Fred could be hard to deal with sometimes, but he also brought a lot of laughs to the show. Fred had a lot of energy and made people laugh both on screen and off screen. Still, the money problems made him upset, and that led to more tension on set.
Now, opportunity never comes, it's here.
We just gotta put in the hours and do the
We
work.
gotta get up off our rusty dusty and do it.
During the second season of the show, actors Fred, who played Rerun, and Ernest Thomas, who played Roger, decided to walk off the set. They were unhappy with the salaries they were getting and the condition of their dressing rooms. The producers of the show listened to their concerns and met their demands, giving them better dressing rooms and higher pay. However, even though the actors got what they wanted, the tension between them and the producers did not go away. After Fred left the show, things got even more complicated. Alan Rafkin, who was involved with the show's production, later shared that Fred was the one who led the strike for better pay. He convinced Ernest and Haywood to join him in asking for higher salaries. This strike caused a lot of trouble, and the producers didn't like it. They eventually got so fed up with the situation that they decided to end the show. This decision left many people wondering if there was more to the story than what was being said. Ernest remembers a meeting that took place when they tried to sort out the situation. The producers called for a meeting with the entire cast to discuss the pay issue. However, things didn't go as planned, and the situation became even more complicated. Despite the show's popularity, the black voices were not being heard in the way they deserved. The fight for fair pay on the show was just one example of how black actors had to struggle against unfair treatment in Hollywood during that time. Despite the show's popularity, ABC decided to cancel it instead of continuing to negotiate with the cast. This decision marked the end of What's Happening after just 3 seasons. Fred Berry later shared that the producers had a meeting with the entire cast and told them that Fred had accused them of being racist. The producers made it clear that they didn't want to work with anyone who believed they were racist, and that they were canceling the show because of it. Fred did not deny his accusations, and this only made the situation worse. The show was canceled, and the cast's protest became one of the reasons why the series ended so abruptly. This tension had only grown over time. After the 3rd season, Fred, Ernest, and their co-star Haywood Nelson, who played Dwayne, had walked off the set once again. They were protesting the same issues: low pay and poor working conditions. This time, the situation became even more serious. The walkout caused a huge problem for the production, almost shutting down the show completely. Fred Berry, known for his role as Rerun, struggled with addiction issues during and after the show's run. His battles with drugs and alcohol affected both his personal life and his career. His addiction made it hard for him to keep steady work, and he faced many legal problems because of his behavior. Fred's addiction also had a negative impact on his health, causing serious complications later in his life. His story is one of a talented actor who, unfortunately, could not overcome the demons he faced in his personal life.
There's a paperwork that I had to do, because when Fred died, he was not established in anything.
He had trouble with money and got into legal fights.
Was he mean? Yes. Was he slight bit abusive? Yes. Did he have a temper? Yes. These are the things that you do not know behind closed doors, but it doesn't matter who Fred is. If I even thought that he was a pedophile or would rape a kid, that nigga would have been in jail.
He once sued the producers of What's Happening Now after they fired him. He felt they treated him unfairly. Fred later became a born-again Christian, which means he turned to God and tried to live a better life. But even then, he still struggled. He tried many things to make money, including starting a dance school where he taught people how to dance like Rerun. He hoped this would bring him back into the spotlight. Toward the end of Fred's life, he started to realize that he had hurt some people.
So there's a difference between a wife. I was his wife and I'm his widow. But you got to realize besides me, there's other wives too.
He wanted to make things right before it was too late. He apologized to his co-star, Ernest Thomas. Ernest said, "Fred said sorry for everything before he died. I believe in forgiveness." Ernest forgave him and even went to Fred's funeral, even though some people didn't want him there. Ernest believed that letting go of anger was more important than holding a grudge. Fred loved his character Rerun so much that he legally changed his real name to Rerun. That shows just how much the role meant to him. He didn't just play Rerun on TV, he became Rerun in real life. Even after the show ended, he tried to keep the memory of that character alive.
Come on, ladies. It's right hand, left hand, shoulder pop, jump.
Ernest Thomas, on the other hand, was deeply affected when the show was canceled.
Okay, so here you are. You got a hit show. You got a house in Malibu. You're partying.
Yeah.
Celebrities are coming over. And then in 1979, the show gets canceled.
The sudden loss of his job left him feeling devastated. Before the cancellation, Ernest was already dealing with the pressure of fame, and the end of What's Happening pushed him into a dark place. The fame he had once enjoyed became overwhelming, and he struggled with depression.
Right.
And now you're canceled.
Yeah.
And you went into a depression over that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, major depression.
To cope with his feelings, Ernest turned to drugs and alcohol. At first, he experimented with different substances like alcohol and marijuana, but soon he started using cocaine and even crack. He described how, in the beginning, the drugs made him feel good. It felt like a rush, a high that seemed perfect. But this high didn't last. After a while, the drugs started to take a toll on him. Ernest felt overwhelmed by negative thoughts, memories from his childhood, and feelings of worthlessness. The drugs only made his depression worse.
Major depression, more drugs, because Coke, I haven't introduced to Coke at that time, and Remy Martin. So those were the go-to, and of course weed, all of it,
Well, and crack.
Yeah, which came in the 80s, though.
At first, Ernest tried to control his drug use, thinking that he could stop whenever he wanted. But over time, his addiction got worse. It spiraled out of control, and soon he lost everything. He couldn't keep up with his bills, and he was evicted from his home because he couldn't pay the rent. With no money and no place to live, Ernest moved in with his sister. Despite all the trouble he had caused, his sister welcomed him with open arms. She supported him through the toughest time in his life. This low point was a turning point for Ernest. He realized that he needed to make a change. He didn't want to continue down the dangerous path he was on.
But then that downside, then the devil comes, right? And every thought, every evil thought, everything that bothered you, every childhood memory, everything everyone said to you comes up.
In his desperation, Ernest turned back to his Muslim faith. He started praying for help, asking for strength to overcome his addiction. He prayed on his knees, feeling like he had nowhere else to turn. He told God that he still wanted to feel high, but he knew that if he didn't get help, he might die. Ernest knew that he needed to stop, and his faith became the source of strength that helped him begin his journey to recovery. He started to get clean and turn his life around, one step at a time.
I had become Muslim in 1977, which didn't help with my Jewish producers or my Christian castmates.
Sadly, some of the cast members from What's Happening died at a young age, which added to the tragedy of the show's history. Fred Berry, who had already faced many struggles in his life, passed away at the age of 52. His death was related to complications from obesity and lifestyle issues that had been caused by his addiction. Fred's passing was a sad moment for his fans and those who had worked with him on the show. He was remembered for his humor and charm, but also for the challenges he faced in his personal life. Shirley Hemphill, who played Shirley the waitress, also died young. She was just 52 years old when she passed away from kidney failure. Tragically, Shirley died alone in her home, and her body wasn't discovered until several days later. Her death shocked her fans and those who knew her.
I don't know why I can't stay mad at you. Because I'm really a wonderful person.
Mabel King played Mama, the loving but firm mother on the hit show What's Happening. She was the heart of the family on the show, but off-screen, Mabel was not happy. She had big concerns about how the Black family was being shown on television. She felt the show was missing something very important, a father figure. In real life, many Black families had both a mother and a father, but in the show, there was only a single mother raising the kids. Mabel believed this sent the wrong message to viewers, especially to Black children watching the show. She asked the producers many times to add a father to the story. She wanted Raj and Dee to have a dad. Mabel thought it was important to show a full family with both parents, but the producers did not agree. They said no to her ideas and refused to change the story. This made Mabel feel frustrated and disappointed. She felt her voice was not being heard. So, after the second season, she decided to leave the show. Mabel said, "People have to make the best choice for themselves," and for her, leaving was the right choice. Mabel also didn't like how her character was written. Her role as a single mom who worked as a maid didn't sit well with her. She felt it made Black women look weak or poor. She believed that television should show Black women as strong, smart, and successful. She once said it was a tragedy that so many black families on TV were shown without a full family unit. Mabel wanted to be part of something that uplifted her community, not something that continued old stereotypes. Behind the scenes, things were not as happy as they looked on camera. The actors smiled and laughed on the show, but there was a lot of stress when the cameras stopped. Mabel had fights with the producers over the family issue. Fred had problems with money and ego. Ernest Thomas, who played Raj, said years later that things got ugly during the contract fights. There were a lot of hurt feelings and broken friendships. Later, the show tried to come back with a reboot called What's Happening Now? From 1985 to 1988, but it wasn't the same. The magic was gone, and the cast didn't get along as well. Fred Berry was even fired during the new version of the show because of his behavior. The producers said he was being difficult again, and they couldn't keep him on. What many people don't know is that the part of Rerun was first written for a skinny white kid. When Fred Berry showed up for the audition, he joked and said, "I am a white skinny guy." The producers laughed at his humor and loved his energy. They changed the role just for him. They renamed the character Freddie Stubbs and let Fred play him with his own style. Rerun became one of the most loved characters on the show. But sadly, the same energy that made Fred a star also caused problems later on. His fight for respect and fair pay made him seem like a problem to the people in charge. And Mabel's honest fight for better family representation led to her leaving the show. Both actors wanted to make things better, but they paid a price for speaking up.
I don't know why I can't stay mad at you. Because I'm really a wonderful person.
After Mabel King left the show, What's Happening? Her life became very sad and difficult. She had many health problems. Mabel had diabetes, a sickness that affects your blood sugar. Because of this, doctors had to cut off some of her toes and later parts of her legs. This is called amputation. Later on, she even lost her eyesight and became blind. Mabel used to be strong, funny, and full of life on the show. But in real life, things didn't go well for her after she left. Hollywood stopped calling her, and many people forgot about her. She died in 1999. Sadly, she passed away alone, without much attention or love from the industry that once made her a star. Years later, Ernest Thomas wanted to bring the show back, but it was not easy. There were a lot of problems behind the scenes. The cast didn't always get along. Sometimes they argued with each other, and other times they had problems with the producers. These fights made things hard on the set and made the work feel tense. This tension also affected how the show looked on screen. One big problem was that the people writing the show were mostly white. The black actors didn't have much say in how the story was told. Mabel King and others were worried. They felt the show didn't show real black life. Instead, it showed a version that white people thought was funny. This meant some jokes felt fake, and the stories missed chances to show real-life struggles. The actors felt like they were being made into silly characters instead of real people.
Let's see how easy it goes in.
Danielle Spencer, who played Dee, also had a very tough life after the show. She became a veterinarian, helping animals. But then something terrible happened. In 1977, she was in a bad car crash. Her stepfather died in the accident, and Danielle was badly hurt. She got spinal injuries, which are very serious. Her back never healed fully. Later in life, she got a condition called spinal stenosis, which made her spine even worse. She had many surgeries, and one of them made her paralyzed for a while. She couldn't move her legs. Danielle worked hard with therapy to get better, but the damage was still there. She had to sit down during her scenes on the show, and the crew had to style her hair in a way to cover the scars on her head. Shirley Hemphill played the fun waitress Shirley on the show, but in real life, she was very different. She was a stand-up comedian, and her jokes were raw and real. She talked about serious things like politics and race. Her comedy wasn't safe or sweet like her TV character. Because of this, many TV networks didn't want to work with her after the show. They thought her jokes were too strong and risky. Shirley was very talented, but Hollywood wasn't ready for her truth. Eric Monti was a talented writer behind the classic 1975 movie COOLEY High.
Don't give me that. You always breaking up parties, fighting something. You ain't gonna break up this one. Look, I come here to have a good time like everybody else.
And helped shape shows like Good Times.
It's a pleasure to meet you at last.
The Jeffersons. And What's Happening.
Yeah, it's a long walk over here.
But Monty felt he didn't get the credit he deserved. According to him, networks like ABC and CBS, along with producers like Norman Lear and Bud Yorkin, used his ideas without properly giving him recognition. Feeling mistreated, Monty decided to take legal action. He sued them, and while some reports say he was asking for $300 million, he later told the Los Angeles Times he only received $1 million and a bit more in payments over time. On a separate note, actor Ernest Thomas, who would later play Raj on What's Happening, found out about the show in a unique way. While he was working as a guest star on The Jeffersons, Isabel Sanford's agent, Mary White, noticed him and thought he'd be a great fit for What's Happening. She encouraged Thomas to audition, calling the show a new pilot called COOLEY High. Thomas already had an agent, though, and when he told his agent about the tip, his agent was annoyed. Despite this, Thomas still went for the audition, and it paid off. The TV show may not have been the biggest hit in ratings, but its impact on race and television history is unforgettable. This year, the show celebrates its over 45th anniversary, since it first aired in 1976. It was a groundbreaking show, especially when it came to how Black people were portrayed on TV. Ernest Thomas, who played the lead character, Roger Thomas, talked about how the show changed things for the better. Ernest said in an interview with Today, "It was definitely a positive thing, because there were not a lot of Black people on TV back then." Even though shows like Good Times, The Jeffersons, and Sanford and Son were already on the air, Thomas pointed out that those shows didn't focus on Black teenagers. What's Happening was different because it showed the everyday lives of 3 Black teens, and this was something new. According to Thomas, people of all races, not just Black viewers, could connect with the friendships on the show. But the show did more than just entertain. It also helped with race relations, even with people who had racist attitudes. Thomas explained that over the years, he met many white people who told him they had grown up in racist homes but ended up watching What's Happening by accident. Once they started watching, they couldn't help but laugh and enjoy the show. It chipped away the racism, Thomas said. He believes the show made people see Black characters in a different, more positive light.